Hi friends, welcome back to the Gillian Perkins Show. So it has been a month now since Charlie Kirk was killed, and in that month, various pieces of evidence have come to light, various testimonies have been shared, and many theories have been created. So today we're going to look at one of the theories that has gained a lot of popularity over the last few weeks especially, and we're going to look at the specific evidence relating to this theory, the theory being that Charlie's mic that he was wearing exploded and hit him in the neck. Effectively, it was shrapnel from this explosion that hit him in the neck. And one of the reasons why this theory has gained so much credence is because one thing that all of the experts that have been analyzing the Charlie Kirk case have agreed on is that it makes absolutely no sense that it was a .30-06 bullet that hit Charlie dead on. Either he was wearing some sort of body armor, or it was a different gun or weapon, or the shot was taken from a different angle. But the information that we have gotten from people like Andrew Colvett, who got some information and shared it on Twitter about something that he heard from the surgeon who worked on Charlie and what he said about how the bullet impacted Charlie and how it hadn't gone through Charlie's body, and the information that has been shared by many ballistics experts and snipers here on YouTube who make videos on the regular all about ballistics and that sort of thing. And they've analyzed all the videos that have been shared online of the Charlie Kirk shot, and they just are saying, this doesn't line up. The way his body's impacted does not look like he was impacted by a .30-06. It is crazy talk that the bullet didn't go through him. He at least must have been wearing some body armor, or else, again, different gun, different weapon, different angle, something. So one of the theories that has come up is that it was Charlie's mic that exploded and hit him in the neck. So I have a very similar sort of mic here that I use for my video recording. This one is a DJI brand. And so it's this mic that clips onto your shirt. I don't know how well you guys will be able to see this, but this little mic that clips onto your shirt, and it has this magnet on the back that you can clip onto the other side of your shirt. So the microphone itself goes on one side, typically the inside, not always though. A lot of YouTubers wear them on the outside, but it can be concealed on the inside of your shirt, and then the little the little magnet goes on the outside of your shirt and it secures it to your shirt. Now, purportedly, the one that Charlie was wearing on the day he died was a different brand. It was a Rhode brand, but a very similar sort of device. And so the theory is that part of the battery inside of the microphone that was inside of his shirt was removed and replaced with an explosive charge. And then, as he was wearing this microphone, it exploded and it shot across his chest and hit him in the neck and ruptured his artery, essentially, and that is what killed him. Now, there are a number of problems with this theory, and we're going to look at that in just a little bit here. But I want to start by just showing you a piece of evidence, a video that kind of shows what I'm talking about here, and I think you will immediately see why it is so why this theory has gained so much credence, because the video is pretty convincing, but we'll be looking at some other videos and talking about this as well. Now, before I show you the video, I just want to let you know we're not going to see any blood here, and I've also blacked out, covered up Charlie's face so that we can actually just look at like where the shot hits him, to make this just to censor it a little bit and make it a little bit easier to watch. So here we see this video, and what you can see the lower area, if I can speak, right? The lower arrow that is pointing down here, it's pointing at the microphone when it is on Charlie's shirt. And then as he gets shot, you see it fly across his chest directly in the direction of the shot. And in fact, it almost seems to land right there. And in this particular video, once it is over there, you no longer see it attached to his shirt. So that's just the first thing that I want you to see. And I think that, looking at just that little video there, that it isn't too surprising, or it doesn't seem like too far of a reach to say that, maybe that is what got him. Now, You might wonder where this theory came from. Now, on the one hand, I think it just came from people online looking at the videos and noticing his microphone flying across his chest. But it did also come from one very specific source, which was this man named Jon Bray. So I'm going to pull up his X profile here because this is pretty much the only thing on the internet that I can find about Jon Bray himself. Jon Bray doesn't seem to have a website or a Wikipedia page or anything like that. In fact, he doesn't even really have a bio here on Twitter or X. So who is this guy and how did he come up with this theory? Well, he has a lot of content over the past month now that he has been sharing regarding the Charlie Kirk assassination. But what was he posting before that? Well, I scrolled all the way back. Let's see if I have it here. All the way back in Jon Bray's X history. Well, not all the way back, a month back. But what I mean is all the way back before he started talking about the Charlie Kirk case. I wanted to see, well, what was he posting before? And what I found is that he apparently lives on a farm and he likes to make kombucha, but also that he is a battery engineer. This is what he does for a living. So this is actually his area of expertise. He mostly posts about his farm and his kombucha and things like this, but he does also from time to time post about battery engineering. And if you actually read the posts, then you will see that this does seem to be his area of expertise and his at least former line of work. So he does have a fair amount of credibility, at least when it comes to this topic of replacing the charge in the battery the battery in the microphone with an explosive charge. So that's who Jon Bray is, and he starts sharing pretty shortly after Charlie is shot. The first post that I'm seeing here in his feed about it is September 17th, and he doesn't give a whole lot of information right off the bat. He just starts by talking about a microphone, and in fact, the first picture he shows is also one of these DJI mics like I have here. And then he corrects it and he says, actually, I've learned it was a Rhode microphone, Rhode Wireless Pro transmitter. And then from there, he just continues to share, lots of different details and theories relating to, well, this overarching theory that it was, in fact, Charlie's mic that hit him in the neck. Now, another thing a specific thing that he's pointed out that I do think is interesting is the shape of the shot that we see impact Charlie's neck. So he has shown here, yep, you guys can see that. He's measured the size of the magnet that was attached to Charlie's shirt, and then he's also has measured here the size of the wound that is seen to appear on Charlie's neck. And in fact, they are a very close match. And something that I did notice in some of the videos that I saw of the event, Charlie Kirk being shot, was that the wound, did seem to be rather kind of oblong, okay, taller than it was wide. However, this is where we start to get into the big problem with this theory. And there are essentially, I would say, two big problems with this theory. One of them is about the explosion itself, the trajectory of this explosion. It just logically does not line up. The other problem is with proving it. We'll get to that in a few minutes. So first of all, let's talk about the trajectory of this supposed explosion. So on that day, Charlie was wearing the microphone on his right side. So he had this microphone, well, not this microphone, but a very similar sort of microphone, a microphone like this, attached on his right side. And it's on his chest, down a little bit lower, right? How would it be possible for, even if it were to explode, for it to come across his chest and around his neck and then strike his neck on the other side, as we all saw happen in many videos? If it were to explode, we would expect a wound and perhaps a tearing of the shirt, something visible where it exploded, and then perhaps hitting his neck on this side. So I just don't think that the physics here are possible, that it could have come around his chest, come around his neck, and then struck him on the other side. So that is, I think, really the biggest problem with the theory itself. Now, not only the trajectory, but also the fact that we saw no blood appear where this explosion supposedly happened. We saw no actual explosion, no tearing, no. Some people are saying that there is smoke in one of these, in some images that you see. Let's see if I have this pulled up here. I'm not sure if I do. That you see some smoke as the shot happens. We can look at this very first video here. Let me censor this again here. In this particular video, I don't see any smoke at all. I have seen some videos where it looks like there is kind of a little poof of smoke, but I think that what we are seeing is his shirt and just a problem with the video quality where we're seeing his shirt poof up. And like I said, just in this particular video, you don't see that at all. So at best we see, or perhaps at worst, we see a little bit of smoke. We certainly don't see any burning on the shirt, and we don't see any blood. And so that makes it seem quite unlikely that there was, in fact, an explosion inside of Charlie's shirt. Now, some people are also saying, and I don't have a video here pulled up for this, but they're saying that there was a wire connected to the microphone and that it was the wire itself that exploded. Now, I think that there are two significant problems with that theory. One is that we saw something strike him on the neck. So it seems pretty unlikely that the wire exploding would have caused, one significant wound on his neck and no wounds anywhere else. And then also, I'm very familiar with this sort of wireless microphone, and they don't have any wires. So if he was wearing an earpiece, as some people are saying that he was, then it's possible it was a wire for that. But multiple sources, including people from TPUSA, have said that Charlie was not wearing an earpiece and that the thing that some people saw flying away from him was his necklace. And in some videos, it certainly looks to be the case. And everybody seems in agreement that Charlie did not typically wear an earpiece. I'll just address one other thing before we move on to the big problem with proving this theory. And that is, some people have wondered, why was Charlie wearing this microphone on his shirt? And they find that rather suspicious since he was also holding a microphone in his hand. However, double miking like this is actually quite common, especially in a situation like this where you have an audio system, a speaker system that one mic is connected to. It's a very different sort of technology than we hook up to our cameras for filming content for the internet. And so that's why I have this microphone here, and I also have this microphone here. I'm not broadcasting via a speaker system, but this one I often use when I'm recording videos, especially if I'm walking around at all or anything like that. It connects wirelessly to the camera, and obviously TPUSA was filming the event for social media, specifically for YouTube, right? And so they were just using these two different microphone systems, and there really is nothing suspicious at all about that. It's a very, very common practice. Okay, so now let's talk about the problem with proving it, and I've got some other videos I want to show you here. The big problem with proving it is that AI video and also just straight up normal video editing are so common and so accessible that we have videos that both prove and disprove this theory on the internet. So for example, we're going to take a look at a video here that seemed to prove the theory or the claim that, let's see, let me just make sure the right part of this is covered up, that the microphone disappeared from Charlie's shirt once he was in fact shot. Okay, so what I'm realizing here is that this video is a bit too graphic. So what we're going to do is we're not actually going to watch the video itself. I'm just going to click through it here, and this will be more than sufficient. So here at the beginning of the video, you can see here his microphone attached to his shirt. And then as the video progresses, you then are going to see it's moving. Okay, you see it moving across his shirt. It moves. Okay, and now it has, if you will, landed on his neck. Now, we're not going to advance any more here because there is a fair amount of blood in this video. Okay, that looks pretty convincing. And also notice that now there is no microphone on his shirt. Now, on the one hand, when I first saw this and other videos like this, I thought, well, you know, his shirt is in motion, and so it's possible that the microphone is simply being hidden by a fold of his shirt at this moment, and that's why we don't see it. However, in this shot, it does not really look like that. His shirt looks quite smooth in that area, and throughout, like I said, this video goes on, and his shirt continues to move, and we never see the microphone again, and that seems pretty convincing. But then I saw a comment that brought something to light here. So let's go back, and this is a great place to start. So look at his hand right here. Charlie is wearing a ring. This is his left hand, and he is wearing a ring on his ring finger, unsurprisingly, right? Since Charlie was married. So not surprising at all. But now if we click forward, his hand goes down out of the shot, and then this is where we are going to see the beginning here of the explosion, the shot. Okay. And then, and let me move this actually, just because I don't want, let's see, I don't want to flash you guys, so bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to try to cover up the graphic part while not covering up the thing I want you to see. Okay, so here we are again, exactly the same place in the video. And his hand's going to come up here. I want you to see this, but I don't want to show you guys a bunch of blood. Gonna have to scoot this back again. Okay, and here we go. Now look at Charlie's hand here. Look at the ring on Charlie's finger. The ring is now not on his ring finger. Let's see if we can go just a little bit further, because I feel like this gets even clearer. It is pretty clearly now on his pinky finger. Okay, there. Now it's abundantly obvious, right? Abundantly clear. The ring is somehow now on his pinky finger. How did that happen? Well, the answer is that this video must have been edited with AI. And I'm not going to go back and scrub back and forth between these two, because it's difficult to do this without showing the blood and whatnot. But I encourage you guys to go forward and back in this video here that you're watching if you want to see the ring on his ring finger and then on his pinky, because it obviously moves from the one place to the other. And the only explanation of that would be that this video is edited. So here we have an example of a video that is purporting to show that the microphone is no longer on his shirt and yet was edited. Now, we also see other videos where his microphone seems to stay on his shirt. Yes, it flies across his shirt as his whole body is impacted, but then when his shirt settles back, the microphone is still there. Now, Jon Bray has posted on X and said that those videos were edited. They were, edited to change the narrative. They were edited to disprove his theory, but in the original footage, in fact, the microphone does disappear from the shirt. However, this really cannot be, because why would this video we were just looking at, where the microphone is no longer on the shirt, why would that video have been edited by AI, it seems, since the ring jumps from one finger to another, if it did show that the microphone was still on his shirt, okay? And in fact, the person who posted that video, that's what they were trying to claim, was that, look, the microphone has disappeared from his shirt. So that really, I think, proves that in the original video, it must have stayed on his shirt. And that is what I find to be the conclusive proof that this theory just cannot be. And that's even aside from, the problems with the trajectory, the problems with the lack of any sort of, discoloration or blood or anything like that from an explosion under his shirt. Okay, so that pretty much brings me to the end of what I wanted to share with you guys today. I'm just looking at my notes here to check if there was anything else I wanted to cover. Mostly I just wanted to debunk that theory. There's so much information flying around the internet right now. It is not just practically impossible to decipher the truth, but I believe it is literally impossible to decipher the truth from what we can see online, because there are so many videos showing Charlie being shot from different angles. And so many of those videos have been edited. And we do not even know if the very first videos we saw were actually the authentic videos, or if possibly, if this is a cover-up, if this is a conspiracy, if they made sure to immediately release some edited footage right at the start. So it really is quite impossible to say. I am going to continue to follow this case, but I do not think that there is much, unfortunately, that us internet sleuths can do from our own homes in this case, just because there is so much misinformation out there, including even video evidence. So I am really looking forward to seeing this case go to trial. I think that it is going to be very interesting to see what evidence the FBI brings against Tyler Robinson, because right now, the pieces of evidence that have been shared directly by the FBI really do not line up. They do not they're not cohesive. They're not congruent at all. They don't make sense with the facts with each other, or even with the facts that other people are sharing, certainly, or the videos that we see online, or the information, for example, that X post that Andrew Colvett shared from the surgeon and what the surgeon said about how the bullet had impacted Charlie. And different things like this. Just none of it makes any sense. So it will be very interesting to see what evidence the FBI brings against Tyler Robinson, and if that clears anything up, or if it just makes it make even less sense. It would be so nice to see an autopsy, to see a ballistics report, because that really could give some answers. But I have to admit that I am somewhat doubtful that we will ever see an authentic autopsy, especially if there is any sort of cover-up or conspiracy here. That would be the obvious clue to fix, right? The most important piece of the puzzle that they would need to take care of, and also probably almost the easiest piece of the puzzle to take care of. So I'm going to leave you guys with that today. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this video. I hope that you found this interesting. If you are new to this channel, same, I'm new to this channel too. It's a new small channel that I just started. So if you're interested in hearing more about the Charlie Kirk case as I continue to follow it in the future, as well as other topics that I'll be covering down the road, then I would love to have you join me. So please do subscribe, and also give this video a like if you enjoyed it. All right, that's everything for today. So have a great day, guys, and I'll be back again soon with another one.